The little ginger paw trembled as Muska tried to find a comfortable spot on the cold rooftop of the old five-story building. The wind ruffled her once beautiful but now tangled and dirty fur, matted with knots, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the one that tore her little feline heart apart. Every time she closed her eyes, she relived that terrible day. Her owner, Viktor Petrovich, whom she had served faithfully for 3 years, had suddenly changed after a new wife appeared in the house. First came the shouting, then the kicks, and one day, "How many times have I told you, throw that ragged cat out?" The new wife had screamed. She just sheds everywhere and is completely useless. That evening, Viktor Petrovich grabbed Muska by the scruff and tossed her out onto the street. She heard the lock click behind him, but remained sitting by the door, unable to believe what had happened. In the morning, a bucket of cold water was dumped over her. "Get lost. I don't want to see you here again." Many months had passed since then. Muska had learned to survive, but she had never learned to trust again. The rooftop became her refuge. Here she could see the whole yard, yet no one could reach her. Only the crows kept her company sometimes, and even they seemed to look at her with pity. Meow. She whispered into the emptiness, but her voice grew weaker each day. Mange tormented her, forcing her to scratch her skin raw. Finding food was rare, only when she dared to sneak down to the dumpsters late at night. The worst were the rains. Water seeped through her tangled fur, soaking her to the bone, and there was nowhere to hide. On those nights, Muska curled up in the furthest corner beneath an old tin awning, shivering, remembering the warmth of the radiator in her old home. "It's okay," she whispered to herself. "Maybe tomorrow will be better." But it never was. The illness progressed, turning the once beautiful cat into a pitiful creature covered in scabs and matted fur. The local cats avoided her, and children, upon seeing her, threw stones and shouted, "You, what an ugly thing!" One night, when the pain became unbearable, Muska cried for the first time. Not with the usual meowing, but truly, silently and hopelessly, like only abandoned creatures do. Her small body trembled with sobs, and such sorrow filled her eyes that even the moon seemed to hide behind the clouds, unable to witness such misery. She didn't know that her life was about to change, that somewhere nearby lived a kind-hearted person who wouldn't ignore her suffering. But for now, all she could do was press herself against the cold wall, dreaming of warmth and affection, believing she would never feel them again. A chance encounter. Natasha often stayed late at the veterinary clinic. That evening, as she walked home, she noticed movement near the dumpsters. Something ginger flickered in the dim streetlight and then disappeared behind a container. "Looks like a cat," she thought, peering into the darkness. In the faint glow of the lamp, she managed to make out a thin silhouette and lifeless eyes. The next day, she came earlier, bringing a bag of cat food. Muska, weak from hunger and illness, was already there, searching for something edible among the trash. Seeing the human, she wanted to run, but exhaustion and the tempting scent of food kept her in place. "Come here, little one." Natasha called gently, pouring food onto a piece of cardboard away from the dumpsters. "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you." There was something special in her voice, maybe the professional gentleness of a vet, or maybe sincere compassion. For the first time in a long time, Muska felt something resembling hope. For 3 days, Natasha came to the dumpsters, leaving food and talking softly to the frightened cat. Gradually, Muska began to inch closer, though she still hid at any sudden movement. On the fourth day, a miracle happened. She dared to take food straight from Natasha's hand. Oh dear, Natasha whispered when she finally saw the cat up close. You poor thing. Muska looked terrible. Clumps of fur hung in tatters. Her inflamed skin showed through the thinning coat, covered in sores. Her once bright and expressive eyes had dulled from pain and suffering. The most important thing now is not to scare her away, Natasha thought, slowly extending her hand. Muska froze. Memories of kicks and blows flooded her mind, but there was something different in this girl's eyes. No threat, only warmth. Gently, Natasha scratched behind Muska's ear, in the one spot where her fur was still soft. And then, a true miracle happened. A faint, barely audible purr escaped from Muska's chest. Well, now we're friends. Natasha smiled. Time to get you some help. Catching a sick cat was no easy task. It took a few more days for Muska to trust her completely. But when Natasha finally picked her up, something unexpected happened. The exhausted cat pressed herself against her savior's chest and began to cry. But this time, they were tears of hope. Just then, a rough male voice sounded nearby. Oh, Muska, still not dead. Tough little pest. Natasha looked up. A heavy-set man in his 50s stood before her, staring at the cat with a disgusted smirk. Muska cowered at the sound of his voice, trembling. Is this your cat? Natasha asked quietly, trying to keep her rising anger in check. Used to be, but my new wife didn't like her, so I tossed her out. The man shrugged indifferently. Not like she was any use, just hair everywhere. He turned and walked away without another glance at the terrified animal. Natasha watched him go, a lump rising in her throat. Muska, she whispered, wrapping the trembling creature in a warm blanket. I promise, no one will ever hurt you again. We'll show him that you deserve the best life possible. The journey to the clinic was terrifying for Muska. Every sound made her flinch. Every movement scared her. But the warmth of Natasha's hands and her quiet, soothing voice gave her strength. We have a long road ahead, Natasha murmured as she examined her new patient. But we'll make it. I promise. And for the first time in a long time, Muska allowed herself to believe. Maybe not all people brought pain. Maybe miracles did happen. A saved soul. The first weeks at the clinic were tough. Natasha spent hours by Muska's side, carefully treating her inflamed skin and gently trimming away the matted fur. Every procedure required patience. Muska still flinched at every touch. Shh, little one. It's okay, Natasha whispered whenever Muska began to tremble. I know it hurts, but it won't last forever. Day by day, Muska began to change. At first, just small things. She started holding Natasha's gaze a little longer, responding to her name. Then came the hesitant purring. Not from fear, but from comfort. Look at this, Natasha told her colleagues excitedly, showing the first patches of new, healthy fur. Our girl is coming back to life. A month later, Natasha took Muska home. The cat hesitated at the doorway. So much space, so many new smells, and nowhere that smelled like fear. This is your new home. Natasha smiled, showing Muska a soft bed by the radiator. You're safe now. Weeks passed and Muska transformed. Her coat grew back, shining like golden fire. Her eyes brightened with curiosity, and she even learned to play again. They say time heals all wounds, but in truth, love does. And as Muska curled up beside Natasha every night, purring her special song of gratitude, she silently whispered to all lonely souls, don't give up. Happiness is already on its way. If it found me, it will find you too.